Okay, let's keep on going. Now we want to use an array of objects. Then we will change the start method to go through the elements of this array and draw their rectangles one at a time. And the main method, you will utilize the code to read the sales data from a text file and initialize an array of this store sales bar chart object. And you will need to change the array data type to store sales bar chart fx. And we don't need to implement selection sort yet. Okay, so basically what it's asking is for assignment 9, there is a selection sort store sales bar chart class where you will read in a bunch of store sales. And we have done this before. So let's open this up. Selection sort sales bar chart. Here is the code to initialize. And don't copy the, I'm going to copy it, but I'm not going to implement this yet. So first thing first, we need to change this to an array. And now let's copy this over. And the selection sort, we're going to comment this out at this point, but we don't need this display because we will use Java FX to display it. And finally, we will, instead of calling this bar chart display, we're going to launch. So here is the read and scanner. I believe we need to throw an exception, or you want to catch that, that's fine too. And you're reading through this. The only difference here is we're not going to use this bar chart. Instead, we will initialize this fx. And I'm going to change the name. This is fx. I'm going to change the name here and there. fx. And this is fx at store sales. All right. So now we can start running. Basically, you are opening up. You are creating the store sales bar chart fx array which is here. And then you are reading the file name. You're getting the keyboard object, reading the file name, opening up the file name, start reading input text. Here I set this as 10 because this is what my test file contains. Of course, there are multiple ways that you can utilize and to accommodate a more flexible reading scheme where you can read different things, different numbers of rows. But here as a demo, I'm just going to use a 10. And inside, while it still has next, we read the next, split the input line, create a new bar chart fx object, and go through the rest and add store sales one at a time, and count, and then we will counter. And finally, we close. Once we close the file, we have this fx array ready, and we need to go through this for loop. We need to go through a for loop. Int I equals to, let's say we start at 20. Our y will be I. Let's bring back paint again. So let's say this is the group. And I'm adding a rectangle here. And this, of course, this is X I'm not concerning about. It will all be 20. The first Y let's say it will be 20. Then the second one will be 40. Then 60. Right? There will be one chart, another chart, another rectangle, right? So we'll be increasing, keep on increasing this 20, 40, 60. And the way we are going to do that is I equal to 0, I less than fx dot length, and I plus plus with a curly brace. I'm going to copy this inside fxi for each element. And apparently, the issue with this is that the y, if we are keep on doing the same thing at 20 and 20, we will be overlapping each other. So we need to set the I to a different value. And the value will be 20 plus I times 20. As we just displayed before, the first one is 20 plus 0 times 20. The second one is 20 plus 1 times 20, and the 20 plus 4 times 20, so on and so forth. So it will be I plus 20 plus I times 20. So let's run this. I'm going to input my input.txt. And this is the display. As you can see, the longer ones, the shorter ones. Longest is red, the middle ones are green, and the shorter ones are yellow, which are definitely less than 300. And now let's introduce selection sort, which is question number 5. Implement selection sort. I'm going to copy this all over. And for selection sort, for selection sort, one thing to change, we need to change that to fx. Actually, you can see that you don't necessarily need to change, but it certainly doesn't hurt to change, right? Because this one, because the bar chart fx is actually a child of store sales bar chart, and the only thing we are using is get store sales, which means, and this get store sales has been inherited from the parent class. So which means we can actually use the same class. Let me use the same class. And now we enable selection sort. And let's run this. fx. And you can see that fx is defined as a bar chart fx. But we can call selection sort, which use the bar chart class because of this inheritance and polymorphism. Now you can see it's properly sorted with the display. Of course, this display does not as good. I think we can add it to maybe 4 times the size, which means I'm going to, let me close this and change the get width part to 2.5. And you can see that this is another advantage you can see from utilizing a object-oriented programming approach. You need to only change this once. In previously, when we start the first bar chart, everything was divided in the code, everything divided by 100. If you ever need to do that, to change this by divided by 25, you will need to change all 5 occurrences. Right? Now you only need to change 1. And imagine you are changing this in a large program. How many times do you need to change? Okay, now this looks better. You can see there's a slight difference between this yellow and this green. And this is red, of course, is the highest sales.